right, guys, the 38 letters from John D. Rockefeller to his son. It's letter 24. The size of our thoughts determines the size of our achievements. Attitude is our best friend and also our worst enemy. July 19th, 1897. Attitude is our best friend and also our worst enemy. The size of our thoughts determines the size of our achievements. July 19, 1897. Dear John, it is wonderful to be immersed in warm and sincere love. Today, students from the University of Chicago allowed me to experience this wonderful feeling. For the time being, I consider it as a reward for my creation of this institution, but it did make me overjoyed. Creation of this institution. Sincerely speaking, before I decided to invest in the establishment of this university, I never expected to be treated like a saint. My original intention was just to do something to pass on our best culture to the younger generation, to create a better future for our youth and our younger generation. It now appears that my goal has been achieved. This is the wisest investment I have made in my life. The young people at the University of Chicago are very cute. They have a beautiful vision for the future and they all have the motivation to achieve something. A few of them with childish faces came up to me and said that I am their role model and sincerely hoped that I can give them some advice. I accepted the request and advised the future Rockefellers. So I accepted the request and advised the future Rockefellers. So he's just been saying like the young people. Success is not measured by a person's height, weight, education, or family background, but by the size of his thoughts. The size of our thoughts determines the size of our achievements. The most important of all is that we must value ourselves, overcome the greatest weakness of mankind, self-deprecation, and never sell ourselves cheaply. You are greater than you think, so you should expand your thinking to the extent to your fullest potential and never underestimate yourself. At this time, applauses suddenly sounded. I was obviously completely captured by it. I was so overwhelmed that I cannot control my tongue. I continued. For thousands of years, many philosophers have advised us, know yourself. However, most interpret it as just knowing the negative side of themselves. Most self-assessments include too many shortcomings, mistakes, and incompetence. It is good to recognize your own shortcomings, and you can use this to seek improvement. However, if we only recognize the negative side of ourselves, we will fall into chaos and make ourselves worthless. For those who long for others to respect them, For those who long for others to respect them, the reality is cruel because others will think of him the same way he thinks of himself. We all will be treated like what we think we are. Those who think that they are a bit worse than others, no matter what their actual ability is, will definitely be a bit worse than others because the mind itself can regulate and control various actions. If a person feels that he is inferior to others, he will show true actions that are inferior to others, and this feeling cannot be hidden or concealed. Those who think they are not very important will eventually become not very important people. On the other hand, those who believe that they have the capability of taking heavy responsibilities will really become a very important person. Therefore, if you want to be an important person, you must make yourself believe that I am really important. And you have to truly feel that way before others will follow you. You have to truly feel that way before others will follow you. No one can escape the principle of reasoning. How you think will determine how you act, and how you act will determine how others will think about you. Just like your own success plan, it is actually very simple to gain the respect of others. In order to be respected by others, you must first feel that you are indeed worthy of respect, and the more you respect yourself, the more others will respect you. Principle of reasoning. How you think will determine how you act, and how you act will determine how others think about you. Just like your own success plan, it is actually very simple to gain the respect of others. In order to be respected by others, you must first feel that you are indeed worthy of respect. And the more you respect yourself, the more others will respect you. Please think about it. Do you respect those who wander in the dilapidated streets? Of course not. Why? Because those rascals do not value themselves at all. They will only let their inferiority corrode their souls and eventually give up on themselves. So please think about it. Do you respect those who wander in the dilapidated streets? Of course not. Why? Because those rascals do not value themselves at all. They will only let their inferiority corrode their souls and eventually give up on themselves. A person's self-esteem is the core of his personality. What land of person do you think you are? Will make you become that person. I don't know why it says land, maybe what type? Everyone, no matter where he lives, whether he is unknown or prominent, civilized or barbaric, young or old, has a strong desire to become an important person. Please think carefully about everyone around you. Your neighbors, yourself, your teachers, your classmates, your friends. Who does not have a strong desire to hold a lot of power? All of them do, and the desire is the strongest and most urgent goal that is being pursued by mankind. However, why do people often turn this achievable goal into an unachievable dream? In my opinion, it is due to attitude. Attitude is the materialization of each of our thoughts and spiritual factors, and it determines our choices and actions. In this sense, attitude is our best friend and also our worst enemy. I admit that we cannot control the direction of the wind, but we can adjust the sail. In other words, choosing our attitude. Once you choose to value your own attitude, those cowardly thoughts that degrade yourself, demoralize your will, corrodes your confidence, and encourages you to give up on yourself, such as I am a useless person, I am a nobody, I have no say, I am worthless, and so on, would disappear and be replaced by the resurrection of the mind. Proactive changes in thoughts and actions, increase of confidence, and usage of the I can and I will mentality to face everything. So I suppose it was just a school for boys. He says, boys, if any of you ever lied to yourself, please stop here, because those who do not think that they are important are ordinary people who give up on themselves. Do not demean yourself at any time. You must first choose your own assets or advantages. Ask yourself, what are my strengths? When analyzing your strengths, you cannot be too land. Land? What does that mean, land? You cannot be too land. You have to focus on your strengths and tell yourself that you are better than you think. You must have a foresight and see the future potential for development. Instead of just looking at the current situation and having lofty expectations of yourself, always remember this question: will important people do this? This will gradually make you more successful. Children, the road to success is paved with gold, but this road is just a one-way street. At this moment, we need an optimistic attitude. Optimism is often called hope by philosophers. Let me first tell you that this is a misunderstanding of optimism. This so called optimism is a land of belief, that is, believing that life is ultimately more joyful and less miserable, and that even if things that are not as good as we wish, good things will eventually prevail. John, do you know? In my impromptu speech in just 10 minutes, I actually received 8 rounds of applauses. It is a pity that too much applause interfered with my chain of thoughts. I have an important point that was driven away by the applause. That is, improving your thinking ability will help you improve the standards of various actions and makes them more effective. But I'm still very happy that my tongue actually carries such a big charm. Love your father. Improving your thinking ability will help you improve the standards of various actions and make them more effective. So, this so called optimism is a land of belief, that is, believing that life is ultimately more joyful and less miserable. That even if things that are not as good as we wish, good things will eventually prevail. Just a change of attitude.